We are very pumped to be joined by Topher Grace. Many things to talk about, but we just showed up. We did a memorabilia off just now before we started this, so we'll note that. But and actually, for the video's sake, we'll show. We showed
you got to
off.
show that.
Do you want to
lift up the fucking camera? Can we swear on this? Oh, so you got into the little Funko things.
So these are all my Star Wars stuff.
I never went Funko because I was like, that's a whole other world. But look at all this stuff. Looking good, man.
That's not going to work.
Yeah, whatever. What's over there?
The Kenner side. That's the Kenner shelves, my friend.
All right, let me just show you guys what I got here, okay? I'm just going to show you what I got.
It's the fucking idol from Indiana Jones. That's awesome.
That is awesome.
Boom.
Hoverboard? That's crazy.
No, that trumps the other thing.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
Wow. Oh, that's sick.
All right, well, you just like you.
I try to keep it like light, like I'm an adult, but like, oh yeah, I got that kicking around, whatever.
Well, I'll show you this. This is my prized possession. This was an old.
Oh yeah, dude, I think that might have been the first one I had. Only OG for me.
It's such a dangerous game to get. It just is. With what have I done? But for this, how are you doing? For the podcast.
It's funny. Speaking of memorabilia, I had when my wife and I met, I had the couch from that '70s show in my basement. And my wife was like, I guess she was my girlfriend at the time. She was like, what the hell is this? She wasn't familiar with, she'd seen some other things, but she hadn't seen 70s shows. She just wasn't into it. And she was like, what is this shitty couch? like why? Like it was shitty when they bought it for the show. And then it got way shittier. And I was like, that's the couch for that 70s show. And she was like, what? And then we were moving somewhere and she was like, let's not bring that piece of shit couch. Like, and I was like, I don't know. It's like the one thing I kept, it's kind of, I did all this time on it. And she goes, you'll always have one big collector's item. You're the guy.
Yeah.
You'll have that until you die. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess so. So I trashed it. I sold it for charity or something.
That's a pretty good sell right there. It's not like you were the crew, right? Like you're like, oh, that's what they were on. Like
You're the guy.
Sadly, I'm no longer the guy. That's the bummer, but whatever.
We'll talk about your new show coming out on ABC, Home Economics, April 7th, 8:30 Eastern, folks. That's when it airs. But tell us about.
We don't want any of those West Coast people.
Yeah, right.
Whatever.
Mountain Time.
But you guys on the East Coast, tune in. Yeah.
Let us know about the show. For those who don't know, you've seen we've seen the commercials running and stuff, but let people know who don't know about Home Economics.
Well, it's in the Marvel universe, which you wouldn't know from watching any of the episodes, but it's a real deep cut. So if you want to really understand what's going on in the Marvel universe, now I was pitching at work that we call it Marvel's Home Economics. And I was like, honestly, we're gonna get more viewers like Home Economics, a Smart. Star Wars story. Like ABC owns all of them, so whatever. But no, it's a show about three families. They're three grown-up siblings, which is difficult enough to navigate. The youngest brother, Jimmy Tatro, is incredibly rich. I am the oldest brother. I'm kind of middle class, and then the sister who's in between us is really kind of struggling to get by. So we're all living in the Bay Area, but our lives are very, very different. And how can this family kind of be friends, which is they want to be, but they've a lot of things that are not in common.
Now you're no stranger to the sitcom life, so this is not like returning to anything that you don't already know, though obviously a different style of sitcom than like that 70s show, for example. But for you, it has to be a little more comfortable slipping back into that, right? Because you've done many other things as well, but like the sitcom, it's kind of in your blood, right?
So I took the youngest girls who plays Jimmy's daughter, really cute blonde girl. I took her aside the first day and I was like, let me teach you some stuff about the sitcom work, because I've been in this game. You know what I mean? I said, first day, because we're here on the first day of work, just fire someone. Doesn't matter who. It's better if it's random. Just fire someone. And then people go, uh-oh, I got to be careful around this person. So yeah, it's little tips like that I like to share with the kids. And no, I don't know. I mean, it's actually very different than 70 Show, because 70 Show is for camera, meaning like Big Bang Theory or Friends. It's kind of like a stage play. You do it all one night. And it's for people who are sitting in the audience. And this is much more like a film in that, it's kind of an omniscient camera, and it's the directors have much more of an impact on it, and I love it. I knew when I read it, I thought I was the first one on, and I thought, oh, this is gonna be about who's in the cast, and so that's what was most important to me. And we have like, I don't know if you guys know any of these names I'm talking about, but like,
Oh yeah.
Oh, yep.
this cast is the dream team. They are just. I'm not one of those people that like goofs a lot on set or like has like a lot of bloopers of me like, you know, cracking up, like I can't go on with the scene or something. And like every take I am fucking it up on this show. Like I was crying one day at work because something Jimmy did. Like it was so fucking funny.
That's great to hear the passion behind just like the crew, but this is also based off of the whole, I guess, concept is based off the co-creator Michael Colton's life, right? Do you see, you mentioned you got like one of the first people on cast. When you got the script, did you see like that passion come across in the first script?
You know, it's funny, I'm seeing your Parasite poster back there.
Oh, and I got Star Wars
Parasite,
up
when
there,
I
too.
came on, had just won the Academy Award.
Mhm.
And I shouldn't make any promises. This is not like Parasite in any way, except that I was really digging it when I watched that movie, talking about, I mean, our society is really coming to a place where that's an issue. And that was before the pandemic.
Yeah.
And now, as we emerge from it, what's going on socioeconomically is going to be really on the front of everyone's mind. And so to be doing a show where we're kind of talking, there's some little taboo talking about that stuff, even between siblings, but it's just really fertile territory.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be a lot about class, which I am definitely interested to see how that works out. But in the series, you're essentially playing Michael Colton, right? In a sense.
Yeah, it's funny. Michael Colton and John Abood wrote it, and my agent sent it to me without saying. They kind of took the front page off, so I didn't know where it was. I thought it was maybe like a streaming show. I just thought it was hilarious, and I'd never looked at a network show since I left 70 Show. It had been such a good experience, but I thought, no, this is great. Like they stumbled across this pretty brilliant idea, which is his life is really interesting, and hopefully the show's such a success that he throws it all off balance and becomes like the rich brother. But I just thought it was a great entry point into this family. And having done a show, I go, oh, you really need to have a lot of material for 200 episodes. Like you can run out at a certain point. And this is like, I mean, it's just endless when he talks about his family. It's just endless issues and problems. And also there's a lot of love. And so, yeah, between that and the cast, I thought, to be honest, before we started shooting, I had a day or two where I was really nervous, mostly because it sucks to have done something that was so great and you love doing it so much. And then, you know, there's going to be the obvious comparisons. And then by the time we were finished with like day 2, I was like straight up cocky. Like, and it had nothing to do with me. It's because they're such ballers, the other cast members. That's all that matters in a show like this, is that you both, that everyone's really talented and that there's a chemistry. And it's like dating. Sometimes it's not there, but we got lucky on this one.
Yeah, I love that you say that, because that is really interesting when you think about it, because you were on a show that was so successful, so well loved. And I guess you just said like you hadn't really looked at network shows since then, because it's I guess that's the idea of like going out on top, right? Like you just, it's hard to top that. Like how many things have you passed on that you're like, nah, not worth the risk? Just
you know,
not
my
worth
agents know to not even
really
send me. It just wasn't something I was interested in. I did, you know what opened it up is I was only being sent either like tech CEOs who are corrupt or neo-Nazis. And I was like, I may have gone a little bit further than I meant to with this. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to play just the absolute opposite of what I did on 70 Show. And I've now done that so many times that I thought, you know, it's not like I hated playing that kind of character, and I love comedy like that. And then during the pandemic, I got so excited about the show because we were starting to shoot it. And I went like, man, this is the time for, if like people are feeling what we're feeling on the set, which is like togetherness, you know, we're all getting tested all the time. There are all these protocols, but the fact that we could all be together and having a chemistry of being with your loved ones and your family, I was like, this is the moment where people want that so badly.
Yeah, we'll talk Black Klansman, but I do feel like once you hit that type of role, like you've now hit the exact opposite of playing a sitcom.
It's like steps for you, right? It's like you did Eddie Brock, you did like the Kevorkian Doctor and Predator, and like it goes up, and then you're
But I was like, guys,
okay,
how do we turn this up a notch? Like, it's not enough that I'm like a psycho murderer. Like, I really want it to be like really bad. No, I've never felt. Look, my agents would all tell you that it's a way to make less money is to not repeat yourself, right? The way to make money is to do the same thing over and over again. And they say, okay, so I'll get this actor doing this role that he does for this film. But for me, I was just so lucky I started on a thing that was successful. So I could kind of, even Traffic was the first film I was in. I remember people going like, I went to the Golden Globes with, for that film with Erica Christensen, who was the girl in it. No one recognized me because I had to grow my hair back out for 70s show. And I was so bummed. I was like, oh, I don't think anyone knows that I'm the same person that I was in Traffic. So I'm like a meth addict or something. It was like very different from 70s. And years later, I realized, oh no, that was actually a good thing to be, to be seen as being able to do different things. You could, a lot more avenues open to you.
I actually just got today. I got a box from Criterion, and Traffic was in the box.
No way.
I'm putting up DVDs, and we'll get to Soderbergh later. There's a whole other thing.
I mean, he's very good director.
There's a favorite movie of mine which you were in. But okay, we'll get to that. That'll be at the end.
Wait, don't go to the end. Go now, man. There's no rules.
I mean, I'll go now. Okay, I'll go. This is quick because we want to talk Black Confinement. But so I'm wearing a Vegas shirt. Mm-hmm. I'm a Vegas hockey fan. I never grew up with a hockey team. My main reason for liking this is because my favorite movie is Ocean's 11. I'm just a massive. My shelf, which is going to have Criterion movies, has one non-Criterion movie, and it's Ocean's 11. Like, that's what I'm going to display next to Seven Samurai. It's going to be Ocean's 11. You were in Ocean's 11 as yourself, as many people know who watched the movie, love the movie. That has been described by Soderbergh. He said it on the DVD commentary. He's like, how important that scene was. And it sets up like Pitt and Clooney for like these, because they were such larger than life figures when the movie came out. And it's just such a funny, weird scene because you guys are all playing yourselves, and they kind of lift the veil, and like they're bamboozling people. Like to this day, and you've mentioned too, you were in 12, you couldn't be in 13 because of Spider-Man 3. But like, do people?
Wait, I'm going to tell you. In the first one, I'm learning to do poker. In the second one, I've trashed my hotel room. In the third one, I was going to be outside of the casino, Al Pacino's casino or whatever they're going into. And I was gonna do the whole scene and make no mention of the fact that I was holding an Asian child.
Jeez.
I get in there and like Brad Pitt's just looking at me and I'm like, we're never gonna talk about it. I thought it was so good.
But like, does anyone ever skip over? Because like, if I saw you on the street, I'd skip over that 70s show. I'd skip over Spider. Like, I'd be like, hey, poker scene, Ocean. Does anyone ever skip over?
No, it's a deep cut. I mean, I think you have to love it as much as you do to remember that. But I'll tell you the story about that was I was doing Traffic, which is my first movie. So I couldn't even believe I was in that. And Steven told me he was doing Ocean's 11. I think it was like Mark Wahlberg was going to be in it at that time. Mm-hmm. Or it was like it was still like Clooney, and because they were buddies from the Out of Sight, which I thought was the greatest movie I'd seen at that time. And I couldn't believe I was in this guy's next film. And I went home and watched Ocean's 11 because he talked about it. And I was like, this is the original Ocean's 11. I was like, this movie's like not great. Like it's iconic. You know what I mean? It's got so many.
Not the only one to think
that. Like not a good film. And I thought, oh man, Steven Soderbergh. I mean, like I had reasons every day to realize that he was a genius working with him. But I thought this is really genius that he's remaking not Charade or some movie that I love. You know what I mean? He's remaking like Ocean's 11, which all that you have to do is kind of put a bunch of stars in it. And then when we're doing ADR, he said, do you want to come play yourself? And I didn't. I mean, the answer is like yes, because I could tell how amazing Traffic was going to be, and just to work with him again. But then he was like, the would you play yourself thing? I thought, I mean, I just got into acting. So I was like, man, I don't know if I should be playing myself. And then I decided, I'll just play the biggest douchebag version of myself. And that'll be the right answer. And I'm going to spill the tea a little bit here with you guys. But these other guys who were in the first one, they weren't coming at it the same way. And I remember like I'd grown my beard out because I was like, all these like douchebag young actors have these beards and are like, I just got back from camping, or like I just got to Hollywood basically, and I was like, why do they all have beards and then they shave them when they're shooting? So I thought, let's all, and everyone showed up and they had beards, and I was like, oh, you guys get it. And then they all shaved their beards in the hair and makeup trailer because they were going to be the cute version of themselves, and they were great, but it was that scene was a wreck when we shot it. But it, and I remember the writer Ted being like, what is this scene? But Steven and I came up with a bunch of jokes that were in traffic. They just didn't track like jokes because I was like getting that guy's daughter high, but they were all like, will you listen to yourself? Like, it's fucking exactly like just weird little jokes. And then, so we had this joke, all reds, that we wrote on the day. Remember when I do the,
Yep.
and I was like, oh no, this scene will work. They'll just cut out everything else. And there were some good improvs and there were some bad improvs, but we got there, and then 12 was even more fun. I'll tell you the other story I have from that is I kept the call sheet.
Did you really?
I still have it. I couldn't believe I was like 58 on the call sheet, and I just couldn't. It wasn't like out to the public yet, everyone who was in it. And I remember looking at this call sheet the night before, like, oh my God.
The toothpick is what always sticks out in my head. The toothpick is,
see, that's what I thought. We should be like the douchiest version. I did the toothpick, and the second one I got a wig, and like my t-shirt in the second one says, your boyfriend wants me.
That's still the all reds line. Anytime I go to a casino with my friends or anything, we always say it, not to the pit boss, but we'll be like, hey, check it out, all reds. And it kills me every time.
Oh, thanks, man. I think the funniest thing was the jokes that Steve and I came up with in traffic. I thought were so funny, even when he showed me the rough cut of the film. And then when we showed it in front of an audience, I realized, oh, these aren't playing as jokes. These are playing that I'm a dick, which is good for the character. But there's some funny jokes in that film. Just tonally, you just hate my character so much.
There's another movie you want to talk to about, arguably a larger speaking role for yourself in it. It's called Spider-Man 3. And in that movie, just an earnest, straight up question. What do you think went right with the movie, and what do you think went wrong with the movie?
I hesitate to answer that question because every time I talk about it, it catches fire, and it's really, no matter what you say about it, it goes like a million different places, because there's such a rightful, I'm part of that community. I'm such a big fan of the films that had come before and the films that have come after, and but when I gave an interview years ago where I talked about a little bit, then it got picked up by all these different outlets, and I will say I think Sam Raimi's an unbelievable director, and I'm very honored I got to work with him.
What about the Tobey Maguire dancing scene? Because that is a scene, and I feel like even he's joked about it now, but it is just a scene that stands out to me as being genuinely funny. Like, maybe people took it the wrong way, but it makes me laugh anytime I
even referenced in Spider-Verse too. Like,
that's right.
Yeah.
To answer your question in a kind of cryptic way, I really like Batman Returns. I long for I love what Marvel is now, and they've kind of like figured out how to do it, like, in a repeatable way. But I also, there's a part of me that loves when, in the nascent stages of these superhero movies, when they were trying things that you could no longer try.
Yeah.
And, I like all those attempts,
Ang Lee Hulk, when they were doing like the comic books on the actual picture, which
it was open in a way that it's not open now.
Yeah, that's true. Speaking of which, though, a lot of previous iterations in the Marvel Universe are kind of making their way now into Spider-Man 3. Did you get the call? And if you didn't, I'm going to note this. We technically got J.K. Simmons hired. We made him do a read. I basically wrote him a comic book script to do as J. Jonah Jameson. This is like late 2018. He did it, and then he ended up being in Spider-Man Far From Home. So I'm just going to say,
you
good luck being
audition for it.
Yeah, no, it was 100% us. Nobody else had any say whatsoever. They saw this clip and immediately called him and hired him.
No idea he was even in the originals.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, we forgot about him. Thank God that podcast brought it back.
The pod made him do a read.
No, the answer is no. Nothing to do with it. No.
Would you, the way you said, like, would you Like if they were like tomorrow, like, hey, Spider-Verse.
I don't think it was a fit. I think Tom Hardy is. Someone that I know read an article where I was like, Tom Hardy's much better, and they're like, hey, that was really big of you, and I was like, it's not that big of me. Like he's the guy. Do you know what I mean? He's like amazing, and I also just think he's an incredible actor. But I did want to go on one of these talk shows around the time it came out. It was like Black Klansman was coming out at the time Venom came out, and I wanted to make a joke about how angry I was about it. Like, who even is this guy? You know what I mean? Like, even though he's like starred in all these great, but then I was like, this isn't the right time to talk about that.
Yeah, it's very true.
The you mentioned Black Klansman, and I do want to get to that because we talked about that before, which I'm glad you set that up earlier, saying like the type of roles that you're being offered. Like, oh, why not sitcoms? I mean, you played a fairly controversial person. You played David Duke. Incredible movie. One of the best, probably last 10 years, maybe even more than that. That, I mean, how, like, what is the process of taking a role like that where you're playing like a bad person, like, but not someone who's fictional, like a real life bad person? And what I imagine is like not an easy role to take on.
Yeah. I said, I just want to read anything that Spike Lee is going to direct. He was at the same agency as me. So I said, send me the scripts. And I read it. And then I had to call my agents, kind of say, hey, I think I have a take on David Duke. And it was like a long pause at the end of the line. What? Like, what direction are we going in here? And I said, no, I think, first of all, I think the movie's really funny, which it is. It just, if it was not for Spike or maybe Jordan Peele, who was also producing it, I was like, I don't think, I don't want to play David Duke. It wasn't like a role I wanted, but I just thought in this script, which Spike won the Academy Award for, I was like, I think I get what his utility is, and that he's going to wind up looking like an idiot. And I kind of get it. So then I guess no one saw me as playing the role. It's an exciting thing. I mean, it bruises your ego a little bit when your agents are telling you they don't see it for you. I said, I'll read for it and do whatever I have to do. So I went and met with Spike, and I was really kind of had a speech prepared because I was so nervous to read some of those lines in front of him. It's just, or anybody, you know what I mean? It's like, and this is why he's such a great director. He really put me at ease. Like, he started going to work. This was like, we were meeting in his office or something. And he went to work on me to make me comfortable so then I could give the read that then got me the part. And then the process was kind of the same. We'd be doing these Klan rallies, and I rarely kind of like take it home with me or something, but I'd have these days where you just go, well, this isn't the comedy part. Like, it's going to be intercut with other stuff, but like right now we just did a Klan rally all day. It feels like just really, and I'll tell you, the worst part wasn't even that. It was the research before. I did like a month of like really, I'd never played someone who people knew, and they were going to show footage of him at the end of the film. So I was like, I got to make sure this really lines up. And I read his autobiography, which is horrific, and watched a lot of footage and listened to a lot of radios. And you can't help but kind of, I don't know, whatever. You feel complicit just by reading it. You know what I mean? It's like, horrible.
It's fascinating.
But we got there, and it was as terrible as it was, to make it. The reward was so great when it came out.
Impactful fucking movie. Yeah. I'll say that.
And that's it. That was really what it was I was, as an actor, no one should be listening to actors politically or otherwise about anything. But, Charlottesville had just happened when we started shooting. That originally wasn't going to be the ending, the Charlottesville thing. And we were also affected by it. I mean, some of the producers did Get Out, but Get Out was made in Barack Obama's America. But this was made in like Trump's America. Charlottesville had just happened, and you're watching on the news every night, and you're going to work during the day. And I just had our daughter, and I once in a while you get to be part of a big conversation. You go, oh, maybe this will change someone's mind a little bit about something, and it just felt really I think everyone felt that way on that movie.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned bringing it home with you. Something that I didn't know about you until after Black Klansman had come out is that you like to edit movies together into little human centipede creations, which I called your Hobbit one. I called the Hobbit centipede. And what is it that you like about editing?
Wait till you see it, bro. Until you're calling it a Hobbit centipede.
Well, it's 3 hobbits sewn together. It is just structurally speaking. That's I like how
it is a centipede. Yes. But why don't you come to one of these? I do these underground screenings. You might have a good reaction to it.
Yeah, but like what I think the question more is, what do you like about editing? Because I think for people, at least like me and Jeff, like editing is a tedious process for us. But what about you? Like, what makes it calming for you?
Right. Good question. I did it because I produced a movie about 10 years ago, and I gave such terrible notes. I mean, afterwards, I was like, oh my God, I wasted everyone's time for a couple of days. That I bought an Avid on eBay and wanted to learn just how to do it myself. And I don't know, it's like, it's not connected to my acting. It's really like a side. I think people connect it because I'm in movies, but like, I don't want to edit anything that I'm in or think any of the directors that I work with think that I want to edit it or something. I just like, I don't know, like woodworking seems stupid to me, but people like, doing all the wood stuff and sanding it and doing that's what it feels like to me when I do it.
I mean,
no,
go ahead, Kendrick.
What do you say? Well, you guys are dying to see these edits. What are you talking? Don't try to act.
No, we are. Give us a screener, man.
It's not we just discovered them. I'm fully aware of. I know the prequel stuff. Yeah.
Send us screeners, man, and we'll be sure to watch.
Like a 5-minute thing that's on YouTube called Star Wars Always. It was like a trailer for what our feeling of it is, because we're like, Disney's never going to let us put the whole thing out, but we just. Look, some of it's like kind of got a dad band vibe because I edit it with a buddy of mine. It's only really when our wives are out of town. So like, it's kind of like, we're dads now,
No, I love it. Yeah. I don't think the centipede, we may have to rename the centipede thing.
The Hobbit centipede is a great name. That should absolutely have been the title for it. I'm sorry. I don't apologize.
It paints a picture. That's for sure.
we want to mention one thing really quick before we have to wrap because we're running low on time. Just in that 70s show, obviously something very, I think, formative for me because my parents grew up in the 70s. I was growing up when it came out, and it was a very good thing we could all sit down and watch together and connect to very easily. But that show has, I think, especially in retrospect, an incredible slate of guest appearances. I mean, like Amy Adams was in it, The Rock is in it. Like, which one of them was your favorite?
Well, gosh, definitely, it's like cool to say The Rock was on it, but like I didn't have that much stuff with him, and it's very cool to bump into him. And I'm actually friends with Amy Adams and her husband now. So, but I don't think we had like a, like Amy had most of her stuff with another actor on it. So I guess to me, the best experience of all the guest stars was Betty White. She played my grandma for a couple episodes. She did a real arc on it. And I just couldn't believe how good she was. It was just watching, how many times you get to watch a true master do their thing. And she also, by the way, during the week was always like, seemed really ill prepared and like it's part of her thing. Like you're like, is she even going to be able to like kind of do this? And it's part of her whole thing. Because then on Friday nights, she would crush so hard. But that's part of her character is that she's kind of like, did I just do that? And you're like you don't know what you're doing. I mean, she was unbelievable. Who else was great? Erica Christensen came and did it right after we did Traffic, and that was a really fun one too. She to have just been doing like meth with her in some like hotel room and then be on the set of a sitcom. And she was really funny. And I'm trying to think who else was really great.
They had a lot of like Alice Cooper had a great one.
There were like kind of cameos, and there were people playing roles. So the cameos were like kind of like The Rock actually like kind of played a role on it. Like the cameos were always really fun. That was kind of a separate. Charo came. We're doing a variety show, and Charo walked down, and I was like, oh my God, I'm in the 70s right now. It's crazy.
Thank you so much.
Wait, stop. Oh. I got a great story that I just thought of.
Yeah.
One night, never on the show, Billy D. Williams was on because we did like kind of a Star Wars thing once. One night, I would go up into the audience and say, hey, to the audience, because sometimes they got a little bit more lively once you came up and said hello. So there's someone warming up the audience. I went up and I go, oh my God. And it was Luke Skywalker was there with his daughter. And I was like, oh my God, it's you. And what I didn't realize is no one knew he was there. Like, and all of a sudden the crowd just like went in on him, and I was like, so sorry. And then I just left and kept doing the show. And afterwards, he was really lovely about it. I've met him since, but I was like, Mark, I'm so sorry. I would hate if someone did that to me at a mall, just pointed at me and then ran away. But
you when you walk into the crowd that many times, what you expect, like tourist or someone in the area or someone from the not,
yeah, I was like,
Yeah,
and I started bowing down to him, like, and also my character was really into it. And I was like, whatever.
That's incredible. Again, thank you so much. This has been a blast. ABC, Home Economics. We're called Disney shills all the time, so we'll keep pulling the sled here. Home Economics. Check it out. April 7th, it debuts. This is a blast. Would love to talk to you again about.
Yeah, this is
many
really
more
fun,
things.
you guys.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, man.
Talk soon, guys.
Thanks,
Yes.
man.